On an increasingly hot day out on the track here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Welcome back. Brian Williams with you. So far, very fast, very clean race. We have not been under yellow because of any error here. Mark Martin has moved into 4th place in the Valvoline number 6 Taurus, starting at 9th. Everyone knows the diminutive powerhouse from Arkansas, the health food and workout freak. Mark Martin is about as consistent, though disappointing this year, only 2 victories this season, but about as consistent as you can get. He will end the 90s, having been in the top 10 every year for a decade. When the season is over, a feat very few can brag that they can match. Mark Martin in 4th, back up to Alan Bestwick.
Brian, thank you. With Joe Gibbs and Mike Wallace, we are pretty early in this event, just past the 1/4 point. 73 of 267 laps complete. And in the upper left of your screen, you see the rundown of the field after the green flag pit stops. Mark Martin there in 4th, behind Bobby Labonte, John Andretti, and Tony Stewart. Some of the rest of the top 10. There's Dale Jarrett in the 8th position now, doing what he needs to do to try and walk away from this afternoon's race with the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship trophy in his possession. Bobby Labonte has led the most laps to this point in the event, but Dale has led a lap and is running 9th or better, which is what he will have to do in order to win the title. Mark Martin, kind of the forgotten man in the championship chase for the last month or so. He is 3rd in the standings now, and he is some 314 points behind the leader, Dale Jarrett. It's been an interesting season for Mark, known as one of the more intense competitors in NASCAR. Away from the racetrack, though, he's pretty generous with his free time and gives much back to his community. Mark's seen here in a visit to the Speediatrics Child Pediatric Care Unit at the Halifax Hospital in Daytona Beach, Florida, helping critically ill and injured children to be cared for near their homes and families. Mark Martin running 4th in today's race as he continues to charge around in pursuit of victory. Here is out the back of Steve Park's machine as he runs in 24th position, trying to stay in front of the leader, Bobby Labonte, but Park up the racetrack in 4, and he's not going to keep Bobby behind him very long like that.
We talk about Mark Martin. I came over from football. I'm used to those great big guys. And I remember the very first time I walked out there, I see this Mark Martin, this star. I say, how could that guy drive a 3,000-pound car? Look at this guy. Very strong, very competitive, very tough guy, and a very, very good athlete.
As Labonte goes up underneath the Steve Park car, trying to put him a lap down. It's been an interesting season for Park. Really come on in the second half of the year. Top 15 finishes the last 7 weeks. In the last 9 races, his worst finish is 16th. Park's had a couple of hard wrecks here at Homestead in testing a year ago, November, and then just the other day in a NASCAR Busch Series machine. And the shark teeth are not as sharp as he would have liked here today on that machine, as he's just been overtaken by the leader, Bobby Labonte.
Well, that's definitely true, Alan. What he was trying to do, he did not want to go a lap down. It makes for a long day right now, you know. Once he's a lap down, he knows he's not going to be fast enough later in the race to make that lap up, and he's just going to have to work for the best finish he can. And, you know, what's unfortunate, this race is unfortunate as a driver. From a driver's position, this race has went green the whole way, so they haven't got any time to get in there to adjust on the car. And when you got cars like Bobby Labonte up front leading, who's hooked up, set up, running very well today, he'll put the whole, you know, a lot of the field down a lap quick.
Dale Jarrett, though, doing what he needs to do to try and clinch the title. You see he's only 100 and, well, he's got a 193-point pad, rather, on Bobby today. He needs a lead of 186 at the end of the afternoon in order to take home the trophy. This would be a race for the 12th and 13th positions. Kyle Petty there in the 44 car, and Jeff Gordon working his way to try and get up back and around Kyle. Gordon has lost a couple of positions. He was started this race in the 10th position, and now he's back in 13th spot.
For so many of us, we're used to finding these cars and all these special paint jobs. Sometimes I'm going, where did they go? Where's Gordon? Is he out? And there he is, but it's a different looking car. I have a tough time picking him up.
You look at that out on the racetrack, it's fairly easy to confuse it with Ricky Rudd's car. Gordon's team, one of a handful, carrying a paint scheme to promote a new NASCAR-themed cartoon show that's going to be hitting television next fall. So that is why the different paint scheme there for Gordon and company today here. And your car, Joe, with Bobby as well, carrying a little bit of a different paint scheme. Gordon not running as strong as we might have thought. Marty Snyder has more on Jeff Gordon's car. Marty?
Well, it's just not been a good weekend for Jeff Gordon and the Rainbow Warriors. They started 10th, currently running 13th. I talked to Brian Weitzel, the crew chief, this morning. He said that was the worst happy hour we've had all year long. First of all, it was caused mainly because of the sun. It was in Gordon's eyes when he was going down the front stretch, and when it was in his eyes, he wrecked with Dale Earnhardt. They collided together. Mike Wallace mentioned that at the beginning of the show. They started to make adjustments to that slick racetrack yesterday afternoon when the sun was going down, but then Jeff said, hey, wait a minute. This is not how the racetrack's going to be tomorrow. Let's back up. Let's start the race where we started this practice, and let's start all over again. That's what they did. They're still not very happy with the race car. It's a little bit too tight. Gordon falling back a little further than he would like as well, and he still has a tight race car even after that last adjustment.
If you're new to NASCAR, a tight race car is one in which the front end is not sticking as well as the back end and wants to slide up the racetrack in the corner and go straight when you're trying to turn it to the left, and there's only one way really to fix that behind the wheel.
And that's make adjustments. For a period of time right now, they're just having to drive different. But the hit on what Marty said a second ago, last night these guys basically practiced almost in the dust, the dark. And a lot of times the racetrack is a lot different at that time. Now we're in the sun, and the racetrack's doing something totally different. They made those adjustments, and they need more time to work on the cars. They need some more pit stops to get in and make adjustments.
Fixing the car on pit road, yes, that's the only way to fix it. But from behind the wheel perspective, Mike, the only thing Gordon can do is lift off the gas.
He can lift off the gas.
Stay out longer.
You know, he just got to try to, Jeff Gordon is probably one of the best at finding the line that works on his race car.
Riding with Dale Jarrett, doing what he needs to do to try and lock up the NASCAR Winston Cup Series championship for that man, Robert Yates, the famed team owner. We'll hear more about Robert Yates in just a moment. First, Bottom of the Body leads, and you're watching NASCAR on NBC.